Mayday, Mayday, this is Flight 19 to Control Tower. Something's wrong. The compass is malfunctioning. We're losing control. It feels like we're being pulled, dragged, towards something unknown. That was the last transmission ever received from the pilot of Flight 19 on December 5th, 1945. Moments later, silence. No wreckage, no survivors, no answers. Flight 19 was composed of 5 U.S. Navy aircraft on a routine training mission. All of them vanished without a trace while flying over a mysterious patch of the Atlantic Ocean, a place that would go on to terrify the world, the Bermuda Triangle. Shortly after, a rescue aircraft was dispatched to find the missing planes. It too exploded mid-air, never completing its mission. What is happening in this place? Why do ships, planes, and people vanish without warning? Let's dive into one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the modern world. The Bermuda Triangle is a vast stretch of ocean between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. And because these points form a triangle, the name stuck. But this isn't just any triangle. It spans over 1.1 million square kilometers, larger than the entire country of Egypt. And within this eerie expanse, strange things keep happening. The legend truly began with one ship. In 1918, the USS Cyclops, a massive Navy cargo ship, set sail. The journey should have taken just a few days, but the ship never arrived. There were 309 people on board, and not a single one was ever seen again. No distress signal, no debris, just gone. The President of the United States at the time solemnly declared, "Only God and the sea know what happened to that ship." That was just the beginning. Soon, the triangle would swallow dozens of ships, scores of aircraft, and even submarines. The media began to take notice. Newspapers and magazines exploded with stories. Some called it the Devil's Triangle and speculated about supernatural forces. Theories poured in. Atlantis, the lost city beneath the ocean, unleashing its curse. Satan's throne, burning anything that dares to pass above. Aliens, abducting travelers for unknown experiments. Even a time vortex, dragging ships into other dimensions. But despite their popularity, none of these ideas have ever been supported by science. There's no mention of Satan's throne in any religious texts, no credible evidence of Atlantis beneath the waves. So what's really going on? Let's leave fantasy behind and focus on the facts. Scientists began studying the Bermuda Triangle, and the first major breakthrough came with something called methane hydrates. Large quantities of methane gas lie trapped beneath the ocean floor in this region. When the gas erupts violently, it creates giant bubbles that rise rapidly to the surface. If a ship is unlucky enough to be above it, the water loses its density, creating what's called foamy water, which can no longer support the ship's weight. The vessel simply sinks, quickly and silently. Add to this the discovery of a 500-meter-wide crater on the ocean floor, proof of one such methane explosion, and if the blast reaches the surface, it could easily disrupt or destroy aircraft flying above. But methane isn't the only danger lurking here. This part of the Atlantic is notorious for violent tropical storms, powerful enough to flip cargo ships and rip planes out of the sky. Then there's the issue of magnetic anomalies. Some pilots report that their compasses go haywire, pointing in bizarre directions. This confusion, especially during night flights or bad weather, can lead to disaster. But let's take a step back. What if the triangle's reputation is overblown? A man named Lawrence David Kusher, a researcher and skeptic, studied dozens of reported incidents. He found something stunning. In many cases, the ships and planes didn't even vanish in the triangle. One missing boat, for example, actually disappeared in the Pacific Ocean, thousands of miles away, but journalists linked it to the Bermuda Triangle anyway. Other stories were heavily exaggerated. A solo sailor who disappeared during a race later turned out to have suffered mental health issues and died far from the triangle. Still, headlines twisted the tale to fuel the myth. Even more shocking, Many of the so-called mystery disappearances happened during storms. Weather reports confirmed rough seas, high winds, and massive waves. But writers ignored the facts, preferring the drama. Take the famous case of the SS Marine Sulphur Queen. Some claimed the crew vanished, leaving behind only a captain's body, seated calmly with a cup of coffee still warm in his hand. In reality, there were no survivors, no coffee, no ghost stories. The ship exploded due to a fuel tank malfunction, and dozens of bodies were recovered by the Coast Guard. So why the myths? Because the Bermuda Triangle sells stories. It's mysterious, it's exciting, and fear is profitable. Even the U.S. Coast Guard and NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, have spoken out. They say the number of accidents in the Bermuda Triangle is not higher than in any other heavily traveled area of the ocean. The statistics don't lie, and yet the mystery lives on. Because humans are drawn to the unknown. We crave answers, even where there are none. And in that vast stretch of ocean where storms rage and compasses spin, imagination takes flight. But the truth is, the Bermuda Triangle is no more dangerous than anywhere else. The only real danger is letting myth replace fact. Still, one question remains. If Flight 19 disappeared due to weather or technical failure, why was there never any trace? No debris, no oil slick, nothing. Maybe one day science will explain it all, but until then, the Bermuda Triangle will remain one of Earth's most haunting puzzles, and some mysteries are best left unsolved.